Welcome to the GreenLight Investor for the week ending April 24th, 2015. The goal of the GreenLight Investor is to provide a resource to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. We do this by using red, green, and yellow cells in our worksheet to help you decide when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. The presentation I'll be going through is for informational purposes only and should not be used as personal investment advice. The examples that I show are hypothetical. They're simply meant to show you how you can use this resource to help make investment choices within your 401k. It's not meant to be personal investment advice. Let's go ahead and go right into our worksheet. Our worksheet is updated each week and it's divided into 3 sections. The first section shows all of the choices available to you in your 401k. It shows the fund number, the fund symbol, fund name, and the fund description. It's arranged with the core investments at top, and then as we scroll down we'll go into the satellite investments, and those are arranged with the most conservative at the top, and as you scroll down you'll find the different categories get progressively more aggressive. We start out with the first category, the fixed income funds. The next category is the U.S. growth and income, followed by the U.S. equity funds, international funds, and the last category we have are the sector funds. The center section we have the performance that's updated each week for each of the funds in your 401k. We show the closing price for each fund on a week-over-week basis. We'll show the month-to-date return, the quarter-to-date return, and the year-to-date return. This is important so you can not only see how your fund is performing for the year, but also how it's performing relative to the other funds available to you in each of the categories. And finally, we'll come to the third section in this worksheet, and this is what I think is the most important and unique section that's updated each week. It's called the current weekly trends. Down column V will show the week-over-week relative strength change for each of the funds in your 401k. You'll see the brighter the green color, the stronger the fund has been on a week-over-week basis, and the stronger the red color, the weaker the fund has performed on a week-over-week basis. There are 2 important features I'd like to highlight this afternoon. First, we keep track of each of the relative strength trend scores on a week-over-week basis. When funds are generally tracking higher, we'll see green cells. When they start tracking lower, you'll see a red cell show up. In addition to the green and the red cells, we have a number inside of each cell. As the numbers get higher, that will show that the fund is progressively strengthening. The higher the number, the stronger the fund has been doing. The lower the number, the weaker the fund has been doing relative to the other funds. The analogy I like to use with this system is that it's like going to a racetrack. When you go to a racetrack, you get to bet on each horse. But once the race starts, you're not able to change your bet based on how each of the horses is doing. With our system, we're again like going to a horse race. But by tracking how each fund is doing, we're able to go ahead and change our investment choices throughout the race. The purpose of this is so that you can make adjustments to stay with the strongest funds and avoid the weakest funds in the groups. That's the unique feature with using relative strength in addition to asset allocation. Let's go ahead and scroll down and see generally how each of these funds are doing. In this section, which is our fixed income, you'll see that there's a mixture of green and red. And what that shows is that it's been a real mixed performance throughout the year. As we scroll down, we'll go into our growth and income, and you can see that there was a little bit of choppiness, a little mixture of red and green. But when we got into the week of March 27th, we've had clear sailing as we've shown green lights and progressively higher numbers showing the strengthening of each of these funds. Right now in the U.S. equity funds, we're seeing a similar situation where we've had a little bit of choppiness, some negative relative strength, but we're starting to see more and more green show up, so it's a stronger environment to be investing in. Same thing with the international funds and the sector funds. I'll show you how you can use this system to make adjustments within your 401k each week, and it takes about the same time as it takes to drink a cup of coffee in the morning. Let's go ahead and see how you can use this worksheet to review your 401k selections each week. To do so, you go up to the View, go to the Custom Views, click on that, and you'll get a drop-down menu. And you can go ahead and look at a few of the different choices, but I go to just my percent allocation and then click Show. This will show the asset allocation that I currently have for this example, and I'll go through and show you how we use it. Our target allocation is to be 100% invested in the 401k, and our current allocation will show that we currently have 100% invested. The yellow cells are meant to show what's been selected. The white cells are the ones that you'll be doing the actual inputs into. So when we want to set our target allocation to the index funds, we'll show that we have a 10% allocation that we want to put our funds into, and our current selection will show that we have 10% allocated to the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. For the money markets, we have a 10% set, and we're actually showing that we have 10% in there. So there's our allocation to the money markets. Our fixed income, we have a target of 5% to fixed income, and the yellow cell shows that we actually have 5% invested. If we were to change this, you would simply type that in, and it would show the change. Let's go ahead and go back to our 5%. And as we scroll down this, we'll see that we have a 30% allocation to the U.S. equity. We currently have 30%. Here it's allocated 20% to the Vanguard Growth Fund and 10% to the Prime Cap. Our next allocation, we have 30% allocated. It's showing that it's split between two funds, 10% and 10%. Our target allocation to sector funds is showing that we have a 10% allocation, and that's split between two funds with 5% and 5% allocated. Now comes the easy part. Once you have the allocation set, you simply use the slider at the bottom and slide the selections over so that I generally go to column U, so it comes up next to the allocations. And the way we look at this is if you have a bullish sign to the left of column V and a bullish sign, a green light to the right of column V, there's really nothing to do. Yellow lights will show that that's a neutral situation, so there's nothing to do, but it's a warning that there may be a change. And if you want, you can go ahead and change to a green light, but it doesn't mean that you should be making a change. If you do see a red cell to the left and a red cell to the right, that would be an indication that you may want to change that fund selection to something that has a green light and a green light next to it, or simply move more of that allocation to the money market until you start to see more green lights show up. In our example, we have a 5% allocation to the fixed income, and since we have a green light and a green light, there's nothing to do to that allocation. Our next selection is the growth in income, and again we have a 5% allocation. 5% is in this fund, and it's showing that we have a bullish green sign to the left of column V and a bullish green sign to the right of column V, so there's nothing to do. Our next allocation shows our U.S. equities. We have a 30% allocation, of which we have it fully invested. The 30% is divided between two funds. We have one here, and it's showing a bullish sign and a bullish sign, and then the next fund that we're allocated to has a bullish sign and a bullish sign. As we scroll down, we'll see that our international funds, we have a 30% allocation. Again, we have a 20% allocation that's showing a bullish and a bullish. And our 10% allocation, again, shows a bullish and a bullish signal, so there's nothing to do. Finally, our last allocation is 10% to our sector funds. Here we have 5% that's yellow, so it's showing a flag here, but there's nothing that you have to do. Unless you wanted to switch it over to one of the green funds, you could do so. And our top fund is showing that it's bullish and bullish, so there's nothing to do. I want to take just a moment here to show you how you can use the red cells as well as the numbers inside the red cells to make investment choices. Here we're seeing that we have an allocation here that's showing red, so it's something that you'd want to stay out of and hopefully have been out of for quite some time because it's been a red color for a long time. One thing that's interesting though is when we started to see green turn up, we're seeing that this was the most negative fund here with a negative 7.23. And what we've seen is progressively these numbers have been less negative each week. So that if you're an aggressive investor, you could use that as an early decision to go ahead and start allocating funds to one that's starting to strengthen and get into it before it starts to turn green. Likewise, we have a fund that's had a very high relative strength. It's been showing a 5.41 back in March 20th of 2015. And what we've seen on a week-over-week basis is we've started to show weaker and weaker trend scores. So it's showing that this fund has been showing a relative weakness compared to the other funds based on the numerical values for each of the weeks. So if you're being aggressive, it gives you an opportunity or an early warning again to see that you're in a weakening fund here, and you might want to take the funds out of that and move it into another fund before it turns into a red situation. That's an example of how you can use both the colors and the numerical values in the relative strength scoring system. It's an easy system to use once you get used to it, and I hope this made sense. That's what I've got for the week. I hope it's been helpful and has given you some ideas on how you can manage your 401k by simply using red, green, and yellow lights. Let's go back to our worksheet and wrap this up. If you'd like to find out more about how you can use this worksheet, you can go to the GreenLight Investor website where I have more examples and an archive of videos so you can see different weeks. You can also call me or contact me directly if you'd like. I can be reached at jweixner at GreenLight Investor, or there's a number on the website that you can call if you'd like to go over this and get personal. We could go over this personally so you could learn how to use this for your particular situation. That's what I've got this week. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great week.